So Jake Paul has gotten himself into some trouble, quite literally, okay? We made a couple videos, first talking about the actions that he, I guess, made in order to even get himself in trouble into the first place, kind of, showed the video footage and whatnot. Second video, we talked about his response to the entire thing and what he had to say about the situation, but Jake Paul has actually gotten himself into trouble. As a matter of fact, there are now charges against Jake Paul for his activities that he decided to film for himself. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, essentially Jake Paul filmed himself in Scottsdale, Arizona, going through a mall and near a PF Chang's that was basically being looted during all the riots and the protests and everything that's been going on, so... He basically filmed himself and his friends walking around through the entire thing, basically being somewhere he's not supposed to be, making a complete ass out of himself for content, essentially. That's what it really came down to. But he's actually been charged for that video that he decided to take with him and his friends. YouTuber Jake Paul has been charged by police in Scottsdale, Arizona after he was caught on camera allegedly looting from a mall over the weekend. Police confirmed to Fox News on Thursday that Paul, 23, was charged with criminal trespass and unlawful assembly, which are both misdemeanor charges. The statement read, "Following the riots and looting that occurred on the evening of May 30th, 2020 at Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall, the Scottsdale Police Department received hundreds of tips and videos identifying social media influencer Jake Joseph Paul as a participant in the riot." Now, this is something that I've said God knows how many times here on the channel, not in situations like this necessarily, but just in general. If you're going to commit crimes, don't film yourself doing it and put it on the internet. I mean, I don't understand what goes through somebody's mind when they're just like, oh, hey, what I'm doing could get me arrested, so why don't I film myself and everyone else involved doing it and then put it on the internet for social media? Like I said, Jake Paul, realistically, most likely at least, was only there because it was something that he could have profited off of, right? He was only there because he could film it, make a vlog out of it or whatever. That was the whole point. Jake Paul was there to push his brand and to make content. So it didn't really even necessarily make too much sense that he would even put himself into that situation, considering, if he really cared about the whole thing, he could have just have been at a peaceful protest. The whole thing was very ignorant and very stupid. He should have never put himself into that situation, and I think most people can agree. But yeah, now that it is actually leading to charges, I think that that's kind of surprising. Now, obviously, with everything going on across the country, the police are trying to arrest people involved and things like that, and I guess Jake Paul is no different. Quote, "Our investigation has revealed that Paul was present after the protest was declared an unlawful assembly and the rioters were ordered to leave the area by the police. Paul also unlawfully entered and remained inside of the mall when it was closed. As a result, Paul has been charged with criminal trespass and unlawful assembly, which are both misdemeanor charges. He was issued a summons to appear in court in a month." A rep for the Star did not immediately return Fox News' request for comment, but Paul reacted to the charges Thursday on Twitter. Quote, "Give me my charges and let's put the focus back on George Floyd and Black Lives Matter." This is coming from the same guy who, once again, was stepping through a mall that was basically being looted, filming it, and treating it like it was a big game or something that he could make content out of. I think when it comes to Mr. Paul here, the focus was never really on George Floyd or Black Lives Matter. Maybe I'm wrong, though. I don't know. It's kind of weird, though, that after he was tear-gassed out of the peaceful protest, he just magically ended up where all the riot and looting and everything else was going on, basically getting himself in trouble. Like, it's just magical that that's how that whole thing broke down, right? And I think what's even more surprising about it is the fact that celebrity, status is there, right? He's got the celebrity status. It's Jake Paul, right? One of the biggest YouTubers. And the police actually charged him. Now, you might be like, oh, Optimus, how is that a surprise, right? It doesn't matter if he's a celebrity or not. He broke the law. He's getting charged. Well, that's not really true, and I'm about to explain that here in a minute, but I think we can all agree that not only was Jake Paul's actions, but his response very weak and pitiful, and should have realistically never taken place because, well, he just wanted some content. But I know a lot of people are actually, celebrating this, right? I mean, a lot of people are really excited because first off, people don't like Jake Paul. I mean, that much should be clear. I don't think I should really have to explain that. Jake Paul is a very polarizing figure, not only on YouTube, but on the internet in general. So people are happy to see that he's being charged. I mean, I'm not jumping out of my shoes or anything. I just think that it's pretty funny because, like we've already established, Jake Paul is a multi-millionaire. He doesn't need to be in the middle of a big looting session at the mall. I mean, it's not something that, number one, he should be doing, and number two, something that he should have even thought was a good idea in the first place. I mean, the whole situation just doesn't seem right. It doesn't add up in some ways. He keeps trying to play it off like he was there, peacefully protesting, but once again, the peaceful protests were happening in downtown, and he's just at some random shopping center while it's getting looted, basically fucking off and filming video and whatnot, so... His actions have led a lot of people to be very excited that he got arrested. Once again, I mean, I just find it funny, because why even put yourself into that situation? But yeah, once again, a lot of people just don't like Jake Paul to begin with, so anything that happens to him, they kind of, revel in it and they laugh and everything. And honestly, I can't knock that too much because, I mean, he does shit like this and gets himself into just stupid situations like Logan has gotten better, but that's kind of like what they do, right? They get themselves into some shit and then, when everything kind of goes back and backfires, they just act surprised. It's just very critical for them to start thinking shit through. I mean, I think anyone in their right mind would have understood if they were in Jake Paul's shoes to not go do some shit like that, but the dude gets himself constantly into these situations. But these charges, honestly, I got my doubts, because number one, he's not being charged with anything too serious, right? So, I mean, he got criminal trespassing and unlawful assembly. They're both misdemeanor charges. He most likely wouldn't serve time to begin with. I'm sure that there probably is a sentence for jail in certain situations or something like that with these charges, but I simply don't see them actually putting Jake Paul in jail, and I think that's what a lot of people assume is going to happen out of this whole thing. I think a lot of people, for some reason, just kind of assume that because, Jake Paul got charged with these crimes, then now we're going to see him go to jail and he's not going to be making videos and other things along those lines. That's probably not true. Misdemeanor charges, I mean, of course, getting charged is serious to begin with, but it isn't like he's out here getting felony cases or anything crazy like that. I mean, at the most, they might, fine him, I think. I don't think it's going to go any further than something like that. And in reality, he probably won't even get anything. Number one, celebrities, they probably almost always get an easier punishment than a regular person would. Even if they actually do serve time, a lot of the time, they're in protected status and they're not actually in general population because of who they are. A lot of the times they get out really early because of good behavior and whatnot. I mean, let's be honest, celebrities, they're not getting the same punishment that you or I are getting. I mean, if I'm down there doing something like that, they're going to actually go for the charge and whatnot. But I mean, Jake Paul, he's not doing jail time. I hate to have to break that to people, but the odds that Jake actually serves any jail time is very slim to none. Like I said, most likely he'll get fines or something anyway. They're not going to do, I don't think, anything crazy. Why make an example out of him? But I think a lot of people forget the fact that he probably will just end up posting bail and whatnot anyway. I mean, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, what is the bail going to be for him? For the charges, if there is even a bail. A couple $100 at most, maybe a few thousand. He's not getting a $250,000 bond or something crazy. So he's probably just going to end up posting, and they're not even going to really pursue it that much more. And the reason behind that is the court systems right now have way too much shit on their plates. Why are they going to try and make an example out of Jake Paul when they have dozens, if not hundreds of people from the protests and the riots and stuff like that they've arrested? But then on top of that, a lot of courts are just now reopening because of the whole coronavirus outbreak that's been going on. So they got other more important shit to be worrying about right now. I mean, if this is the time to get arrested, chances are, especially for Jake here, this is probably the best time he could have been arrested for something. Plus, Jake Paul is an out-of-state person, right? He doesn't live in Arizona. I think lives in California or whatever, I don't know. But he doesn't live in Arizona, so I mean, even then they're gonna, they have to summon him to another state court and whatnot. There's just too much shit with it going on just to give him misdemeanor charges, who wants to deal with any of this right now? The court probably doesn't want to deal with it. I'm sure Jake doesn't want to deal with it. I mean, some deal's gonna get worked out regardless. Jake is not serving jail time. But I mean, at the end of the day, right, you're just not gonna see someone like Jake Paul suffer the same fate that some random person would. I know a lot of people seem to think that celebrities are on the same status. I don't think people realize. Celebrities are on a completely different notch than the average person, right? Even if, I just hit my hand on the desk, I apologize, but even if they do get charged with something, they're not seeing the same fate. Being a celebrity in especially the United States, dude, it's literally a get out of jail free card 95% of the time. I think people really overlook that to a certain extent, right? It's crazy what the treatment is like for celebrities compared to the regular person. And I mean, once again, you're gonna see it in this situation. I guess in reality, the moral of the story is just don't be getting yourself in trouble over some stupid shit. Don't just use these kinds of things for your own personal gain and then assume everything's gonna be fine, because, I mean, it's gonna come back to get you in some way. But thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below for the freshest, officialist Optimus merch. Thank you to my channel members, your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, not getting arrested like Jake Paul because, well, I don't have any need to walk into the looted mall and just hang out and film for content, and signing out.